bottom line is this job, the one I'm in, and I would say this for any professional general manager or coach, requires complete engagement, complete effort, 1,000%. And if you can't do it, then you shouldn't do it. That's the answer to the question of why I can't do that to our players. I can't do that to Joe and Peter. Really, I can't do it to myself. And that's a question I've been wrestling with. Appreciate your patience, letting me make that decision. Everybody in this room, I've only known how to do things one way my whole life, is kind of all the way, and it doesn't feel right to do something when I can't give it everything. And that's what it takes to do what we've done over the last, for me, 12 years.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
I'm driving in listening to Steiny and Goo as that comment was being made. And I kept going, gosh, I wanted to be in the room. And he essentially answered this. I think we know, but I wanted to hear him expand on it in a different way.
Let's go to Mark.
In the back. So when he goes, you don't do this job if you can't give 100%. I was like, why can't you give 100%?
Are you telling me you gave 100% when you had Kevin Durant and you just sat back and watched him win by 17 every night, Bob?
Well, can't.
You mailing it in, Bob?
Can't is just an interesting word here. And I know he uses can't because he doesn't want to use the word want.
Or won't.
Right. Can't, won't. Like, he can. He doesn't want to anymore.
Right.
So.
Well, can you if Joe Lacob's your boss and Joe Lacob calls you for the 17th time and you send him to voicemail because you don't feel like giving 100%?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want this to turn into like Joe Lacob's a bad guy or bad owner or bad boss.
Not at all.
He's a fantastic owner. He's the best one the Warriors have ever had.
He's relentless.
And I have no idea what it's like to work for him, but yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Exacting.
But is that such a bad thing when you're with an organization that is fantastic, successful, and you are well compensated for it? Do you know what I mean? I think most employees in this world, when they're disgruntled, it's because they're not being taken care of, not because they're being asked to work hard. I don't think people have a problem with being asked to work hard if they're being taken care of in the process. I think when you're asked, it's like the most relatable thing ever because there's not a person listening to us that hasn't had this happen, right? You got a company that downsizes and they go, okay, you over there, you'll do this job now too. And you're like, oh, cool, what's my raise? No, we're not doing a raise. You'll do more work for the exact same price. Huh. That's when people at jobs get upset. And I don't know that this is that. A, because Bob gets paid an unbelievable amount of money.
Right, handsomely.
And B, I don't know if it was ever in the job description. It's like, okay, not only do you need to draft the people, and you need to evaluate the people, and you need to work with Steve on how we're going to play the people, but you also need to work with the people's emotions and be amazing at it.
Right.
And you need to do it with all of them, especially that one right over there who's half a cup of crazy.
His nickname is Chernobyl.
Right.
And when we have a meltdown at that power plant, guess what, Bob? Put your hazmat suit on and your mask and get in there because you're the only one who knows how to calm the reactor. And so that's the gig. And I was struck by this, Mark, and you saw me feverishly taking notes when you came in.
You were pounding away, man.
I was trying because his opening statement, the questions are all great, and Kareth led off, and I should have had my first question odds up because she would have been the favorite, pay the chalk. But Bob said 2019, finals 5 years in a row. That was a lot. Finals take a lot out of you. 4 years ago, he asked himself, can I keep doing this? You want to go through this season and see if he had enough to go through a season like this, and you start thinking about it when the season ends. If I can't do it the way that I want to do it, then I can't do it. But think about that in terms of last year. Last year, they win the title. We have a parade. It was fun. Bob is walking among the people, and there's pictures out there now of him holding the trophy, and people are offering him Hennessy, and he's having a great time. The parade's over. The draft is 2 days later. 2 or 3 days later was the draft. Right. So you go to the finals 5 years in a row, which means you're playing until mid-June, and then the draft is also in June. So it's not like, hey, we won a championship, and then this year we got knocked out in April, and I got an actual offseason. The man had no offseason for years.
Right. And that obviously wears on a human being, right? We all know this. Everybody goes through this on a certain level, whatever's going on in your life. I relate mine sometimes. Single dad, 3 kids. I know what it's like to have to be in 4 places at one time.
You got no off season.
I know what that's like. I know. I love it when people are like, "Well, school's almost over. It'll be summer." Oh hell, what are we going to do then?
It's even worse, right?
So I get it. And I'm sure that when there's no off season and you're doing it under a microscope and you're doing it with big egos and big demands and big money and all that.
All in one man.
I tell you what, it must be a lot. But I guess I'll ask it to you this way, and all of you can throw in on this too. 888-957-9570. You take everything that you saw today and heard today at face value, like this is just Bob is tired. Bob is tired, and the Warriors just found out about it 6 hours ago. You buy it?
No. I don't buy that they found out 6 hours ago. I think that they knew a long time ago that this was possible, and whether or not that Bob 6 hours ago actually came to them with the final, I think that they knew as far back as, well, you and I knew a year ago, or I guess it was about 9 months ago. We did a live show at Chase, and Bob said at the very end of an interview, which was, it was mostly casual, it was friendly, a couple of hard questions here and there, and at the very end he said, I just want Warriors fans to really focus on this year. Enjoy this year. Don't worry about what happens down the road with this player or that player or me or Steve or any of that. Just focus on this year, which told me that Bob was focused on this year. Yep. And as he got through this year, and it started in a very unfortunate way with Draymond punching Jordan Poole and the video get leaking, and now Bob has got to, before the preseason schedule even begins, Bob's got to go out there and address this issue and talk about this issue. They hadn't even played a regular season game yet, and that's how his year started.
Yeah, that's probably that probably didn't help.
No,
it probably didn't help. I do wish, for one, like, just message to everybody in sports. It's now 2023. We all know that you didn't just decide this morning. We know this now. Go back to Kevin Durant. Yeah, I didn't know until I woke up. I woke up, and then I went, I want to be a Warriors. And a couple hours later, I was. This press conference was scheduled a week ago. You think the Warriors scheduled a press conference without having any idea what the hell they were going to say? That's a no. You don't do that in this business, okay? So that's fine. I'm not trying to call anybody out. You guys can all answer the questions the way you want to answer them. But this idea that everybody just got caught off guard by this a few hours ago, I think is silly. And I also think, while there are certain things I take at face value, I think Bob is tired. I think Bob would like to be with his family a whole lot more. I think the Warriors did offer him everything they could to stay. I think the Warriors want him to stay. I don't have a conspiracy theory here. I just think the Warriors do a wonderful job of, when they get to the public, when the cameras come on, they do an unbelievable job of making it look like everybody is around the campfire getting along.
Kumbaya?
All the time. And there's no way in hell that's true.
Not in this business.
No way.
Not in our business.
Right.
Not in any business.
Right. So I wonder.
Frankly.
Yeah, I wonder what it all looked like. I wonder what factor that played in all of this. Joe Lacob clearly wanted Bob Myers to stay.
Right.
Bob Myers does not want to stay. And Joe looked directly at him and said, I don't even understand at this moment why you won't stay. But you won't stay.
Right.
And so on we go.
And it's fascinating.
There's tension there.
Well, and the tension lies in this, Mark. The tension lies in a billionaire owner who is used to getting his way, and he's used to winning. He's won in business. He's won at almost everything he's ever done. And he even mentioned, when we bought this team, it was a bit of a stretch, and we had to rework some money and this and that. And, it was a kind of a stretch for him financially. I know that some people reported at the time that Larry Ellison was in a better financial state to buy the team, and it was an upset that Joe Lacob and Peter Guber.
Remember that?
I do. When the news came out that it was
so
Joe,
great.
is it Lacob or Lacob? Whoever it was, It was a complete stunner that he beat Larry Ellison to buy this team.
Totally.
And it was a stretch at $450 million. And now you look at what it's worth, and it's worth between 4 and 7 or 10 billion. Who even knows how much it's worth? But Joe Lacob has won. He's won at every single turn. And this one is one where he thought that he would win, and the way that he would think about winning would be, all right, I know Bob's maybe on the fence, and Bob's not sure. I'm going to offer Bob the biggest contract in GM history. I'm going to give him, and I'm going to make this up just for the bit, I'm going to give him $5 and $75. I'm going to give him a 5-year deal worth $75 million, $15 million a year. No GM has ever made that. And Bob, you're worth every penny. And Bob looks at it and goes, Joe, thank you for the kind offer. No, thank you.
Yeah.
And Joe says, I'll make it 80.
Right.
And he says, Joe, it's not about the money. Okay, it's not about the money. 85. And, Bob says, I want to spend time with my family. All right, 90. Not a penny more. And Bob says, Joe, I really I want to take a year off. Okay, $100 million.
$1 billion.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And then Bob says, Joe, finally, it's not about the money. You could offer me $1 billion. And Joe says, well, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And Bob says, well, even if you did, I still would say no.
Yeah.
And Joe says, you want to make a bet? And that's to me the way it kind of played out, because Joe's not used to losing.
Right. It's super frustrating when you put it all out on the table and you still get a no.
Right?
That's true in dating.
Oh,
Ask the San Francisco Giants about the Aaron Judge situation.
Who needs him? Who needs him? We're hot. I'm a Giants fan.
Coming in hot, Mitch Handiger, 20 minutes.
I love it. There's a tease.
Yeah, point being, wait till you find out what the key is to the hot streak. It's something that Handiger's eating before every game. Who knew? Anyway, but it's hard. Think about that, right? Where'd you drive for that girl back in the day? Where'd you go?
Soon.
It's not too soon.
It's been about 30 years.
It's actually perfect timing.
I drove from Baltimore to South Burlington, Vermont.
And?
500 miles one way.
And?
I pulled up. It was snowy, and I didn't have her phone number because this was in the 90s, and you didn't have cell phones, nor was there such a thing as email. So I wandered through this snowy town only to find her kissing her boyfriend.
There you go.
Who's now her husband. They got a couple of nice kids, and I'm happy for her.
Yeah, no, you're really not. But
No, I've gotten over it, Mark.
Okay, so it's not too soon. And then you turn around and you drove home, and it's
500 miles back to Baltimore, Mark.
It's really hard when you put it all out there and get a no. Now,
I slept on the couch, Mark. More than a no.
Bob is not sleeping on the couch tonight. Bob is in the bed. He made the bed. But yeah, that's it. It's not easy, and you're exactly right that when it is someone like Joe Lacob, when you're talking about someone who does not take no for an answer, somebody who has been successful at everything, sometimes the hardest thing, right? You can conquer business, you can conquer basketball, you can conquer real estate. Can you conquer another human being? No. That's what takes people to their knees. That's why marriage is so hard. It's why parenting, whatever. It's so hard because you can't just make other people do what you want them to do. And then you got to act like you're happy for them, which is let's be honest, it's what a lot of the Warriors are doing today. Yes, their friendships are to the core. I think Steve Kerr is incredibly happy for Bob Myers. I think Draymond Green is incredibly happy for Bob Myers. I think Joe is kind of happy for Bob Myers. He's kind of ticked also. That's what I think.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's used to taking the L, which is what this is. And you can't spell Lacob without an L. And normally you don't use the L in Lacob. Normally it's Joe Acob because he doesn't take a lot of L's. But this one is an L, because if you're Joe Lacob and you think about it, okay, I'm happy for Bob with a lowercase h. Yes, I'm happy for you, Bob. You've been great. We got 4 titles because of you, or in part because of you, and all the rest of it. But if you're Joe, you're stuck between your son and a hard place, because if you elevate your kid, now you're putting your son Kirk out there naked to the world in terms of, okay, do what Bob did, or you're a failure. The other alternative is you go to Mike Dunleavy Jr. and say, okay, Mike, I know you've been pilloried by this organization and its fan base for the better part of 20 or 30 years, unfairly, but still, you've been scapegoated. Good luck, Mike. Do what Bob does, or else. So if you're Joe Lacob, what do you do? What do you do, hotshot?
Well, he's already the report is already out that both of those people, Kirk Lacob and Mike Dunleavy Jr., will be elevated. I don't know what that means.
You know what that becomes.
I do. Yes, I do. It's an elevation sensation.
Cha-ching!
Yeah.
That's the original.
I know. So that has to be $2, right? That
And
has to be.
you could have sold it in more Tim Roy fashion. Although I don't think you can hit the high notes like you
I
can.
don't want to steal anything from Tim.
Elevation sensation.
Yeah, I'll let you do that.
You're welcome.
I only steal impersonations from Goo, not anybody else.
And you know what that becomes?
That's what I do.
It's an impersonation sensation.
It is. Hey, Larry in the city. You're on with Willard and Dibs. What are you doing, Larry? Larry!
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah!
Hey, Larry.
Hey, what's happening, guys? Quick take on this whole Bob Myers. First of all, a lot of fans do not realize what he did behind the scenes. He was a huge, integral part of the Warriors' success. That being said, I think one of his biggest attributes was the relationships that he had with the players. And one of the more, I can't really say difficult because the guy does get a tough rap, although he brings a lot on himself, is his relationship with Mr. Draymond Green. So if you guys noticed during this exit speech, he was talking and he made a comment, and nobody has said anything about it. I don't know if I'm reading more into this or not, but he basically was saying, not so much good luck, like I'm the Draymond whisperer, nobody else can talk to him like I can. But there was a little bit of a nod to, yeah, you guys got to take care of Draymond now. I don't know. What was you guys' take on that?
I think that's just true. Like I missed the specific part, or I don't know the specific part you're talking about. But if it goes along the lines of what you just said, like I don't know that it's true. That's all out there. The Warriors are not afraid to touch the idea that Draymond Green's a lot to deal with, and the Warriors just lost the guy who deals with him. So this is absolutely part of the Draymond discussion going forward. If he wants to stay, and you do want to sign Draymond to an extension, I think you don't just look at Draymond, the basketball player. You have to take a look at your organization's ability to deal with Draymond. And I think they do feel this way, but ask the question, do you feel like you can handle the crazy Draymond moments, because they're coming, without Bob?
Right.
I mean, they've never done it before.
Well, and can Mike Dunleavy Jr. handle it?
Wouldn't think so.
Kirk Lacob handle it?
No, Steve Kerr is the first person that would need to handle it.
Well, and we talked to Steve. I asked Steve on this very program about an elevation to that job, and he said, no, I'm a coach, and I'm always going to be a coach. So just as we were having this discussion, I have found the next GM and president of basketball operations for the Golden State Warriors. It's as plain as the nose on your face, Mark Willard.
And that person is?
It's Tom Izzo.
Oh, gosh.
It's Izzo. Izzo has done everything he can do at Michigan State.
Yep.
Check. Does Izzo love the Warriors? Check.
He does.
Does he love Steve Kerr? Chickadee check. 1, 2. My mic sounds nice. Tom Izzo. Bring him in for the duration of the Draymond contract. That way you can continue to nurture your own son. Mike Dunleavy Jr. can go on and take the Clipper job or go wherever he needs to go, because he will be passed over and he'll be pigeonholed. Dunleavy goes elsewhere. Myers becomes a carpool dad. Tom Izzo is your new GM. You're welcome.
Yeah. It's a fun idea.
Don't you poo-poo my Izzo.
I'm poo-pooing your Izzo.
I was about to take a victory lap.
That's right. No, I mean, he'd get to keep his voice at the end of the year for the first time. That would be a ton of fun. Fun idea. Fun idea. I don't know if that represents continuity, and we are about continuity with this business that we have run very well. Yeah, there you go.
That's a 2 for his Lacob.
I'm not looking for anything over here.
No,
I'm not looking. Yeah.
When you do
Grady
it, you
doesn't
get
like
rated.
It. Well, you can
That's
rate
the way that goes.
You can rate me all you want. This is a one-day-only impersonation.
It's a one-day Lacob.
This show, one night only.
I was in need of a Lacob. Yeah, thank you. RNS Garage Doors.
No, that's come on. They're not going outside, are they?
I don't think so.
I don't think they're going
But if
outside.
they do, if you're looking for a Draymond whisperer, I think that's the guy you would go to. If LeBron James is not available, I would go to Tom Izzo.